presentation that will resonate, we need to ask ourselves, as I've said, do we really listen? Often we listen selectively to what we want to hear, in whatever field we're working, but particularly in this area, which is very, very painful and can lead us to feel very uncomfortable at times. I did bring with me, which I didn't realise the arena was going to be so big, but I did bring with me a Chinese symbol, which I'm going to leave, and if anybody would like to have a look at it, or even like to for me to give you a copy, I'll be very happy to let you have that if you contact me. But this symbol is, it illustrates for me the complexity of the listening process. The symbol is comprised of the integral parts of effective listening. Ourselves as the person, our ears, the eyes, as well as the, just bear with me, giving undivided attention and the heart. And I believe that all of that sums up the listening process admirably. To listen well is indeed a mixture of hearing, seeing, being with the person and empathising with the person. We need to listen with our heart, and often we need to listen to what is called with our third ear. That is to listen sometimes to what is not being said, but what is perhaps being hinted at, not explicitly stated. And it was Mark Twain who said, if God had wanted us to talk more than listen, he would have given us 2 mouths and 1 ear. We know, of course, that when people are faced with terrible trauma, faced, for example, with major losses through perhaps a stroke, loss of sight, loss of a limb, a frightening diagnosis of a terminal illness, and of impending death, we know that it is kaleidoscopic in its implications, affecting the person who is suffering as well as their carers. People who suffer in that respect, emotionally, physically, spiritually, intellectually and financially, among just some of them. Nothing, therefore, remains untouched as we are thrown into a situation that all too often leaves us unable to cope, feeling powerless, with little control in our lives. Feeling a whole range of emotions like anger, sadness, denial, despair, and for some people, feeling hope. And I think that we need to remember that if all we can offer for people in these situations is hope for a cure, then it really does limit what we actually do have to offer. So important to remember that people are also hopeful in these situations, and particularly that's particularly important for us in the area of work that we're in. Hope for a good period of life ahead, hope for respite, hope for control of pain, hope for a strong sense of care and support from other people like yourselves, and a hope indeed to be treated with dignity and with respect. So listening, really listening, is the basis from which everything else should flow. So the challenges for people who find themselves in these situations are many. And for some, it will be a longer journey than it will be for others. We, of course, can only be co-travellers on that journey, and the challenges for care workers will also, therefore, be many. I hope today will help you to face the many challenges that will lie ahead for you. And I'd just like to conclude by saying again that I did want to emphasise the importance of listening. In my role as Chair of Scrutiny for a number of years, that was really important. It was really important to be able to listen to people, to really hear what they were telling us. And certainly in my role as a trainer in my previous life, which I trained locally, regionally and nationally for many, many years. And I hope that today, that even though it seems something very basic to be conveying to you, and many of you will be aware of that anyway, perhaps it's a useful reminder that it really is important to be able to listen and listen well, and to convey to the person that you are with, wherever that may be, in whatever situation, that you really are listening because they care and they matter, and you want to treat that person and let them see indeed that you are treating them with dignity and with respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Can I thank the Alliance for inviting me along to this conference, having stood back from the Cabinet position to wind down my political career. It's very nice to be invited back. Having supported the Alliance for some years from that position, it's a pleasure for me to come and address such an august body. Can I say that as a councillor of 30 years standing, we haven't always been able to afford dignity. I remember 30 years ago, as a new councillor, going on rota visits to elderly persons' homes, where we had multi-bedded rooms, badly managed incontinence. I don't need to go on to describe that time. I don't mean my comments to be a criticism of that time, but certainly to demonstrate just how far we've come to today as far as dignity is concerned. As you know, today anyone in the care business not only supports but promotes dignity in everything we do. In that period, the work environment is continuing to change. The demographics tell us that there will be fewer people in work, there will be a reduced birth rate, young couples having their families later in life, which equates to a large increase in 65 and over population. It's wrong for us to assume immediately that that increase will all be dependence. Our work, our way forward, should tackle those problems, and as I said, hopefully the increase in that age range will not be all dependence and be self-sufficient as they go. Local authorities in their work are turning more and more to commissioning services based on choice, independence and dignity. That's the commissioning drive. And of course, as we do that, certainly the time